Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce our chief guest for this session, Mr. Hiran Kure, Chairman, Jetwin Symphony PLC. Renowned as a trendsetter and influencer in Sri Lankan tourism, Mr. Hiran Kure contributes an immense mixture of passion, honesty, integrity, and tenacity to the industry. Carrying on the legacy of his father, the late Mr. Herbert Kure, Mr. Hiran Kure is the current chairman of Jetwin Symphony PLC, which comes under Jetwin family of hotels and will be the brand vehicle for future investment and growth in the leisure sector. He is the chairman of the Lighthouse Hotel PLC, as well as several other privately held properties managed by Jetwin Hotels. Mr. Kure's achievements are numerous and much acclaimed, being an educated at a prestigious St. Joseph's College, Colombo, and going to the University of Carolina, USA, and later following a general management course at Cornell University in the United States. Mr. Kure has represented Sri Lanka on the board of directors of Pacific Asia Travel Association as the chairman from 2010 to 2012, president of the Tourist Hotels Association of Sri Lanka from 2005 to 2008, and was appointed as the alternative member of the UNWTO World Committee on Tourism Ethics from 2017 to 2021. He is currently the immediate past president of THASL after serving his second term from 2014 to 2016 and was recently inducted as a life member of PATA. Mr. Kure served on the board of Sri Lanka Tourism Promotions Bureau from 2014 to 2016, having already served as a board member of Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority from 2010 to 2014. He also served as a board member of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce from 2016 to 2019. Mr. Kure also been a member of the board of the Small Luxury Hotels of the World from 2007 to 2014. In addition, he holds over 50 directorships in various hotels and related companies, making him a much sought-after speaker, panelist at tourism-related forums, both in Sri Lanka and around the world. I now invite Mr. Hiran Kure to deliver the convocation address.
Chancellor, thank you for the introduction and for the invitation. My friend and Vice Chancellor, Professor Lalit Gamage, professors, the graduates or the graduates now, the parents who are hopefully watching this ceremony from the hall next door. This is a very special day for all of you, and I'm very pleased to be here, and I thank Chancellor and Vice Chancellor and the Board of Management for inviting me. In fact, when I got the invitation, I took about 2 days to respond because I wasn't sure whether I should accept the invitation, because I wasn't sure whether my business will be in existence by now. So I would have had to come here and say I had a business. But I know, the passion that Professor Gamage carries. I have heard him speak in many public forums. And I know this institute, this SLIT, Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology, does things differently. Then I thought that's probably why they invited me to speak to all of you. Because my story is lots of downs and few ups. So I will tell a little story to all of you because this is your day. This is your day, right? As he said at the introduction, you have toiled and you have come forward. The professors and the lecturers have taught you, and you have a lot of knowledge now. But this is a story I'm going to tell you what I experienced. I remember in 1987, I was class of 87 in the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. The day before the graduation, the dean of the School of Management came up. He called all of us to an auditorium like this. And he said, from tomorrow, you will go out and learn. And half the class was shocked. We were about probably 300 students then who were graduating. And we were shocked. The dean is telling, from tomorrow you will be going out and learn. And we have been there for 4 years learning all these things. And it didn't mean anything to us. And in fact, we went and asked him, Dean, what do you mean? He said, I can't explain, you will understand. So during my 4 years in Greensboro, North Carolina, as electives there, you can study electives, and I studied business management. I studied communist political systems, and I loved that subject. So much so, some of my Sri Lankan friends used to call me Commie. Right? I read Karl Marx to Lenin, Marshall Tito. There was a American professor who had lived in Yugoslavia. I'm sure some of you haven't even heard of Yugoslavia. How many have heard of Yugoslavia? From no one, hardly anybody. Because it's now doesn't exist. It's about 5 countries, Croatia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Herzegovina, all of that. It was broken up in the 1990s, but I think I'll remove this. Okay. So I studied all this, and I loved it. The Chinese system, Mao Zedong, all of that. And so much so, the professors who were teaching us used to say, Hiran, don't answer this question, let the others answer. Because I used to read so much about it. And it was fantastic, right? And I thought, okay, you can control the world with this. The systems, the structures, everything was perfect. And I was getting A after A in these subjects. Little did I realize after coming back, having got married, I can't even control my own wife. Forget controlling the world. So that is reality. Sometimes when you study, you get a lot of theory into your head. You think you know it all. You think you know it all. That's what I thought, at least. I thought I know all these systems, the management systems, the theories, the behavioral patterns, everything. But when you go out into the real world, you start learning real things. How to live with people, how to work with people, how to be with people, how to bring up your own child, how to trust people. So that's something that took me a while to understand. Then in 1987, when I graduated, my parents came for the graduation in North Carolina. Obviously, all of you were not born. Some of you were born and working or studying at that time. My father said, you have to come back. My father had not interfered in my life because at school I didn't study very much. I played cricket. I didn't study very much. So I went overseas and I did a bit of studies. Yes, I enjoyed studying. Our business at that time was going down. I think Professor Lalit will remember because his family was also pioneer tourism people as well. At that time, the business was really going down. There was problems in the north, problems in the south. And so much so, tourists were even asked to go out of this country. But my father said, come back. And I actually didn't think twice. I just came back. I even had a girlfriend then in America. I left her also and came. I said, look, I have Sri Lankan lady. I said, I have to go back. She never came here. So be that as it may, 87 to 89 was a very, very difficult period for all Sri Lankans. It was a tough time, really a tough time. And this was the time that I had a lot of theory in my head. Management theory, business theory, financial theory, all these things in my head. And my father, whom I started working with, he's doing exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite to what I learned in university. And I'm like arguing with him, Dada, this is not going to work, this is not going to work, this is not, what is this, we are not going to make it. He just ignores what I'm saying. And he just does what he wants to do. And actually, I'm in this position today because of that. God's grace and the risks he took. He told me one thing. Whatever we owe the banks, pay on the due date. Credibility. Credibility. Whatever you owe the suppliers, pay on the due date. The staff, pay on the due date. If you lose your credibility, you're done. Whatever the field you will go into, you have technological minds, you have operational minds, project management minds, business management minds, whatever you go into, remember the credibility factor. If you lose your credibility, you lost your face. Literally lost your face. You cannot survive. You might survive for a short period, but you won't go beyond. So to me, that's some of this, what I learned, it was, then I remembered what my professor, the dean of the management school said, guys, from tomorrow, you will do the real learning. That is the experience you get when you go out there onto the field. What you have now is a fantastic certificate. It's an insurance policy. It's a passport to the world from this fabulous institute. You have earned it. You have gained it. You didn't buy it. That's the confidence you will have that you are a graduate of this fantastic institute. That gives you the confidence. You're one step ahead of most of the others to go into the world. So you have a purpose now. As Professor Gamage said, you have now to contribute to our country. Because I had studied politics, I also like to, in fact, when I came back, I asked my father, should I join politics? Are you mad? Don't waste your time, he said. All right? We sometimes have a tendency to, by the way, not in politics at all. We have a tendency to blame everything. We have the tendency to blame it on the politicians. Right? This side or that side, whatever side. We Sri Lankans have a tendency to blame it on the politicians. But we appoint them. We elect them. Why don't we blame ourselves? What is our responsibility? What is our purpose in life? Our purpose in life must be, of course, your own family is first, right? As Mother Teresa of Calcutta says, if you don't love your own family, if you don't love your mother and father, if you don't love your husband or wife, if you don't love your own children, don't go to solve the world. First and foremost, love those who are closest to you, then you love your neighbor. And then you contribute to the country, to the economy. All of us have a responsibility to get away from the blame culture and go into the contribution culture. If we contribute to the economy, to our country can flourish. That is why these institutes are there. That is why your parents have sacrificed and sent you here, so that you graduate and you go out into the world and into our own country and you contribute to our economy. Think about it. What is the real purpose in life? You will have a great... I have no regrets at all for coming back in 1987. I have absolutely no regrets. Sorry. Because for me to see that we have done something, now we are really struggling. From a business point of view, those who are in tourism, close to 2 million people depend on tourism in this country at a bigger level and a smaller level, they are struggling. And we will continue to struggle for a few more months. We have gone through probably the worst period, 1 year of complete disaster. Of course, that began with the bombing on Easter Sunday in 2019, April. With that, tourism crashed, and this was a double whammy, where the international borders closed, and the rest of the world, or the whole entire world, literally closed up. And we have now, I mean, you know, I can tell you, some of you may have studied business and finance. A company that we managed, which was literally most of the company is private, but some of it is public. From a company that was making probably a 1.5 billion rupees net profit, we probably end up this financial year at about 1.8 billion loss. So it will take us probably, God willing, another 3 years, when tourism resumes properly, for us to get back on our feet again. But that is the resilience and the love and the passion we have. People call and ask me, are you able to sleep? Only my wife will tell you, yes, I do sleep very well. And I know, and with the faith in God, that we will do very well in tourism once again. At the moment, the whole world is scared of this virus. If you really look at it, this is my view, I don't have any scientific knowledge. And some other doctors have also mentioned privately. In Asia, this virus reacts differently to what is happening in Europe and Americas. You look at the government website and see how many people have died of this virus. I don't have to tell you anything else. But the whole country is scared. I'm living in an apartment complex in Colombo. There are some ladies who have not come out of that apartment. So maybe this university should do a study on the psychological, social, and the economic impact of this close lockdown. It's tremendous. I was watching most of your faces coming up. Less than 10 of you smiled when you were taking the certificate from Chancellor. I was watching every one of your faces because that's the time that you were taking the mask off, so I could see all your faces. I don't blame you for not smiling. That's what we have been put down to. That's what we have been put down to make believe. We cannot go on like that. Cannot go on like that. We have to move out, get out of the shell we are in now. Not only tourism, everything else. Probably none of you are thinking of joining tourism now. Earlier, tourism was a sought after business, but tourism will come back. Remember that. Tourism was contributing 5% to the local GDP, Sri Lanka's GDP. Now it's probably this year is literally nothing. But it will come back, and it should contribute close to 10% of the GDP. That is when the country will benefit from tourism. When we are able to contribute at least 10% of the local GDP. Because tourism is one thing that filters down the money that comes in, the foreign currency that comes in, filters down to everybody. Not only companies like ours. Many people along the coast, in the mountains, in the wildlife areas, they all benefit from this industry. So it will definitely come back. It'll take time. So that is where it requires that gut feeling to stay on, not give up. Right? So that's a message I like to leave you with. That don't give up. A lot of youngsters we see today, in companies, in places, you shout at them, they just throw away a job. They throw away a job, right? They don't think of the future. They don't think of what they want. They just give up. Don't do that. Move ahead. Keep your commitment, keep your passion, keep your love for the country strong. You will do very well. You will do very well. Credibility is extremely important for all of you. Don't lose that credibility. Whatever you do, wherever you go, keep that very high. Trust in people. People are nice people, right? Don't look at somebody and pass judgment and say, this is not good, that fellow is not good, this fellow is not good. Who are we to judge? Who are we to judge? Don't judge. Be helpful. Be committed. All of you will do very well. This is a fabulous institute, and I'm very, very honored to be here with all of you. And I look forward to hearing about your success in the future. That is something that will give all the professors, all your lecturers, everybody tremendous joy and satisfaction. It's not only a business, it's a love, it's a passion. And I've seen that in many, many occasions from, the way Professor Gamage speaks at forums, how this institute has been built up over the years. Continue that. Continue to contribute to this success as well. Don't walk away from here and think you're done and you'll never come back again to SLIT. Don't look at that. You are the alumni now of this institute, of this university. Continue to work with this institute so that it goes from strength to strength. The other students who are there benefit from your experiences in life. I wish you God's blessings and wish you every success this life can bring you. Goodness, happiness, lots of good health. And don't be frightened of this virus. That's not going to kill you. God bless you all.